Hello. Today I will be featuring what I, before the season started, predicted would be the God tier ship, and as the season has progressed, has obviously become the God tier ship, which wasn't very hard to predict. It's of course the Belfast. Even though I had a lot of people complain when I called this ship overpowered, I think this ranked season speaks for itself on just how ridiculous this ship has been. It is by far the best ranked ship for progressing or grinding or whatever. It's so strong at pretty much everything. It does what usually takes multiple ships to do. So I'm gonna of course make a commentary on it because it's such an important ship in this current ranked meta. Now, as you can see, the enemy has two Belfast, we only have one, so they have a slight advantage in that case. We do have a Flint, which is of course a nice smoking advantage, but on small maps like this with a lot of cover, the radar is very strong. On this map, the enemy loves pushing B from the north, so I actually use my superior concealment here, and I'm gonna see if I can flank them. I make sure to keep enough distance that I don't get spotted on the way here, and I only start closing the distance once I'm actually behind islands, because I don't want to get spotted until I'm close enough. You see, now that I know that I'm behind the island, this is when I close the distance. And it's important to note that I pop the radar before I come around the corner, because if in case there is a Belfast or something waiting for me, I want some advance warning. So I'm gonna pop it just before I pop out, so I know what's waiting for me before they actually know I'm arriving. I catch the Bliska completely off guard. They usually, of course, they see ships going for A, so they tend to flank around this side, and that was the whole idea of this flank. I push around from the side they don't expect it, and this Bliska can't make the turn back. I think he tried, but he was about to ground, so he had to abandon it, and he's stuck in a horrible position right now. The Shiratsuyu opened up fire on him, so he takes the bait and starts shooting him, but of course the Shiratsuyu isn't alone. I'm helping him, and now that he's on this side, the entire team is shooting him, and we score an early kill thanks to that radar push. That's of course a huge advantage. It also delays their cap massively because both their Shiratsuyus went to A to harass our team, so they really have no one capable of pushing into cap right now. The Belfast would be, but they're most likely afraid to push in right now. Important to note though that I instantly abandoned my smoke and I instantly repositioned myself, because the position I was in there, if I had gotten radared or spotted or something, the only way for me to get into cover would have been reversing. And if you're in a position where you have to spend a lot of time, well, first of all, if the position like I was in, it's very easy for someone with radar to sneak up on me because there's island terrain so close to me, and I know there are Belfast on the other side of this island, so it wouldn't be impossible at all. In fact, it would be highly predictable for a Belfast to sneak close to the island, pop radar, and get me spotted. So I make a U-turn and use, while I'm still using the smoke I popped earlier, I'm also in a position to get in cover behind this island if need be. When the smoke runs out, or if I randomly get radared, anything, I have an escape plan. And that's something a lot of people don't really know how to plan for. And that's always having an escape plan when you play these smoke ships. Not just the Belfast, but any smoke ships in general. They plan far enough ahead that they get into their smoke, but then if something unexpected happens, they tend to often get caught out in the open with their pants down. Or if they get radared, it's something they don't really know how to react. And you should always plan ahead, always have an escape route. If something goes to shit, if something goes wrong, have a way to get away from it. I'm spotted here, but I'm not really too worried. The Gneiser now is pointed the other way and very far away. It's unlikely he's going to be shooting me from there. The Nagato, well, he is pointing his guns at me, but honestly, if he tries to shoot me at that range, I can probably see it, and I do get undetected. His guns weren't really even pointed at me because he's too busy evading all the constant HE spam I'm putting down on him, which is, excuse me, just woke up, which is of course what you should be doing. And he flees. He doesn't really have many options here, and Shiratsuyu uses this opportunity to push into the cap, which isn't actually a bad idea, because he's got plenty of backup if one of the Belfasts try to rush him, and if he gets radared, he can just hide behind that island. So not a pretty aggressive move, but not necessarily a bad move. However, the lead we had so comfortably been enjoying got pretty rudely interrupted there by the fact that our Flint got deleted. So we're back to a 6 versus 6. we still, well, we actually don't have too much of a health advantage. Our Shiratsuyu is very low HP, and our Nagato has just been chunked to what looks like 20k HP, and he's in the middle of the open. Hopefully one of our deities will be smoking him, because he's gonna get punished heavily in the open. I am, however, going to use this moment to close the distance. You know how I talked about earlier, I didn't want to get caught with my pants down, pushing in and getting radar. Well, I wanted to do the very same thing. However, I was unfortunate enough that the second I started pushing in, they in fact had their radar active. And I guess they were going for that flanking move I spoke of earlier, but me pushing in kind of interrupted their plans. That was the thing I was afraid of a while ago, and only now did they do it. But still, I always have plenty of terrain to hide behind, so I did lose some HP, but it's not the end of the world. Instead of going around the right-hand flank for my ambush, I'm just going to push around the left-hand flank and see if I can get something done from this side. I'm not too eager to push too aggressively, because we have a massive lead. We have a double cap, they have no caps. And that's something a lot of people often or this is something that a lot of people fail to grasp in ranked. Even in rank, this is in the rank 5 to 1 bracket. I probably didn't mention that. So this is like the highest tier of ranked. And even in this highest tier of ranked, people still often fail to utilize advantages properly. You can get massive leads, you can have great positional advantages, and people will just throw them away by needlessly pushing in, needlessly being aggressive, and it's often battleships. I swear battleships have some sort of... Battleships are very bad at holding positions. You see a huge difference between battleships who have played competitive games like clans and battleships who only play random battles, and that's because they are terribly bad at holding their position. These competitive battleship, they have no issues sitting point in a strategically viable position, in a strong position, and just holding down their flank and denying the enemy all movement and killing anything that moves. They have no issues holding that position for 15 minutes straight and winning the game outright. Whereas a lot of these random battleships, they will just charge in, they will just YOLO in at some point in the game and get killed and give up their flank, and suddenly you have a massive weakness on one side of the map and the enemy will push and take advantage. And like this is where you really see the difference in discipline between the average random battleship captain and someone who plays competitive. And when I say that, I don't mean no, you should be sitting in base sniping, but I mean that if you have a strong position near a capture point and you have an advantage, what exactly is pushing in gonna give you? What is the advantage is gonna give you? And I often ask, like, what was their plan? Like, what was it they were hoping to accomplish by this? Because we already have a lead. If you already have a lead, then pushing in, what is it gonna give you? An even better lead at the risk of losing the game? That's obviously not a good lead. That's obviously not a good risk to take. And people really should be doing some calculations. I don't want to shoot yet. I'm waiting for my turrets to turn. My smoke ran out, but I do have the spotting advantage on his Belfast because he's shooting. I don't want to shoot until I can get into cover, because I don't want to get stuck in the open. As predicted, there was plenty of torps going that way, where I was just sitting. It was only a matter of time, because they obviously knew where I was. Switch to AP, but it's all bounces. Oh well, overpens and a couple of bounces. Should just be using HE, honestly. It's a bit silly just how strong the Belfast HE is. There's rarely any use. I mean, the AP has its uses, but it's mostly for pure broadsides. Other than that, the HE is just so stupidly strong that there's not real any point of using anything else. But yeah, in case that my point I was making, something people often fail to plan ahead of is, what is this push going to give you that we don't already have? And whenever that question is asked, they're often left baffled, and that's when I realized they push in for the sake of pushing in, not because there was really any thought or any plan or anything else behind it. They lack the discipline to just hold a position. Anyway, we currently have, well, we had a 2-ship lead, now it's down to a 1-ship lead, but this is actually not as big of a lead as it seems like. First of all, our Scharnhorst has 2k HP, which means he's one-shottable by pretty much anything. And our Nagato got chunked earlier, as you saw. He is very, very low as well. So our 2 battleships are incapable of tanking any damage at all, which is of course a pretty big problem right now. Their Nagato is extremely healthy, so I pop a smoke here and see if I could maybe chunk him down a bit. At this close range, especially if you're able to land plenty of shots, you can really damage battleships. AP would probably be fairly strong here, but I kind of want to get some fires burning on him as well. Especially since we got both DDs torping in there, so forcing him to use repair, a flooding, that could be a kill. You'll always take into consideration where your DDs are and what part of the map they're working on. Forcing someone to blow a repair could be very beneficial, because all it takes is one torpedo and that could be a kill. I think the Nagata used his repair earlier, so setting a fire on him there I think is pretty significant. Oh, the Belfast is pushing in. They kind of have to push. If you see, I'm constantly switching targets, and that's of course the reason is I want to reset their cap. So I keep switching between targets all the time. The longer it takes them to get that cap, the longer we hold this cap before they can push. They have to secure that cap before they can push. And that's of course points gain, points advantage, all of that. Belfast pushes in, I slip into cover. I don't want to be sitting there in the open as he radars. They have double spotter planes up, which is of course a bit of an issue, but in the meanwhile I'm just going to keep harassing all their DDs. Whenever I see them I take shots at them, and you might not notice, but I'm actually landing a lot of damage and constantly chunking them down, which is very important because any damage taken to DDs is huge, because DDs win and lose games in ranked. Well, these days it's also a lot about battleships, but those tend to be a very key component to winning and losing games, is how much damage you do to the DDs. The Scharnhorst is fleeing because he has no HP, the Nagato is fleeing because he has no HP, so this game is very close. But this smoke is a mistake, because they are all in the smoke and only relying on the spotter planes for spotting, and that of course allows me to flank around with my low concealment and pop a radar from the side where they have no... I'm not even smoked, but they don't have any spotting of me because they're all sitting in the same smoke. And this is a very common mistake. You see people who don't really pay attention to their teammates' positioning, and that is of course they don't notice that if those two guys are in a smoke, then I cannot go into the smoke, because if I do, I deny my team any sort of spotting. So by going into that smoke all three at the same time, they made a huge error in the fact that none of them was able to spot me. And this Shiratsuyu, he charged through the smoke because he just needed to get out to do some spotting, but he didn't realize where I was, because once again they didn't know. So he charged up right into my face and got spotted right away. So that was 2 kills on them with that radar. And the third guy is, well, he's sitting in the smoke alone, hoping to secure the cap. Let's see if I can actually show the Nagata, just to give you an idea of how close this game actually was, even though it looks like we have a big ship advantage, because they were burning down, I think, the Nagata as well. Yeah, there's the Nagata, he has 2000 HP, and I'm pretty sure the Scharnhorst has 2000 HP as well. So, an extremely close game. He's gonna get B, I think, but we're already capping A, and I'm just gonna push into him. He's so low that I can kill him before his torps land, which will of course end the game. He doesn't really have any escape. Shiratsuyu is cutting off that escape, Nagato is cutting off the south escape, so he's kind of boxed in. Oh, there we go, he's trying to shoot the Scharnhorst. Oh, he actually dash tells you how low the Scharnhorst was. One volley from the Shiratsuyu kills him. And, well, now he has no more escapes because he fired, and I'm able to finish him off quite easily. And the game ended. But I hope this game showed you something regarding positioning, and you want to, most of the time, you want to use radar from positions you aren't expected to use radar. Because if they know where you are, especially on higher ranks, people will actively position themselves so that they can avoid your radar. If they get radar spotted, they can get into cover and they can negate the use of your radar. On lower ranks, well, DDs don't really know what they're doing, so you easily score kills. But in higher ranks, people know how to play around the radar. And that's why, in order to prevent that, in order to actually make it useful, try to utilize your stealth from positions they don't know you are. Like the Bliska at the start, he got caught completely with his pants down because he didn't expect me to be where I was, because he thought I would be with the rest of my team. Now of course flanking moves like that are risky, so don't be that guy who gets killed running off somewhere alone. Make sure you always have an escape route in mind. Anyway, nice amount of credits of course. Well, this is a premium ship, so it does generate a nice chunk of credits all the time. Team score wise, 2.4k base XP, only 2 kills, but once again, ranked kills aren't that important. And Well, not really much else to it. This was when I was rank 4, so moving on to rank 3 from this. I'm not certain if this was the game. It might not have been this game. Detailed report, of course. Not too much damage upon your spotting, not too much potential damage, and that's not really that surprising. You don't really want to be tanking damage in the ship anyway. You want to be dealing it, and you want to be denying enemies, and you want to be just a presence on the you want to be a presence, but at the same time you want to be an unknown presence. What I mean with that is, the longer you are alive, the more the DDs have to live in fear. They always have to wonder, I wonder if the Belfast is here, I wonder if the Belfast is there. But if you die, that threat disappears, and also if you're spotted, then the DDs can also play around you. So the more time you spend undetected, the more valuable you are on the battlefield. Of course, getting into offensive positions is very, very nasty, because then you have the threat of radar denying them any sort of capture advantages. Anyway, let's move on to my recommended build for this ship. Right, moving on. Recommended build. Consumable wise, premium repair, you should be using it. Premium smoke in this order. Premium radar, followed by premium hydro. You should be using them all premium for rank. Main armaments mod 1, you don't want to be losing your guns. AA guns mod 2, your AA is actually pretty good, so increase that range. As you can see, you can get it to 6 km. This is of course without AFT, since we don't need AFT. Damage control system mod 1. I did use propulsion mod at a time, because I was afraid of losing engine and gliding out of my smoke, but you don't really lose engine much on this ship. Steering gears, because you want to be avoiding damage, not tanking it. And concealment, since you can slot the tier 8 upgrade for some reason. Don't ask me, ask for gaming. Priority target, you want to be seeing how many people are firing at you. I take this as order of priority depending on how many skill points you have. And of course adrenaline rush, followed straight after by superintendent, because well, one additional smoke, one additional radar is great. Concealment, followed by IFHE for direct damage, followed by demolition expert for fire damage, and finally jack of all trades with your last 2 points. Now there's some options. Expert marksman only really gives you 2 seconds on 180-degree turn, so kind of not really a big deal at all. A smokescreen expert, once again, not necessarily a bad pick, but there's so much smoke already that you kind of don't really need it. I mean, once again, it has some value, but it's not the greatest value. In fact, there are probably plenty of decent options at this point. You could go smokescreen expert, you could go expert marksman, you could go jack of all trades. High alert, probably not that good. But between those 3, I don't think there's any really bad choice. Personally, I value jack of all trades the highest, because it gives me faster hydro, faster radar, faster smoke, faster repair, which is of course highly useful. Anyway, that was my Belfast commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed it.